Hi there, my name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. And this is part 3 of the Jack White love affair for those of you who are regular viewers. And in this one, we are taking a look at Jack White's Blunderbuss. First album released solo by the man, the myth, the eventually will be legend. Sorry. And he deserves it. If you have not watched the previous two reviews for the Jack White Love Affair, first album I covered was the White Stripes' first album, self-titled or untitled, whichever way you want to look at it. And then I also covered the Raconteurs' first album as well. So we are now on to Jack White's first solo album. If you've watched the other two videos, you've heard me already say this a lot. I'm going to say this right at the beginning of the album. This album is not an album of singles. This is an album you put on to listen to. This is an album that is meant to be listened to as an entire album. Nothing really, like there's a few standout tracks, but nothing overly jumps out. This is the type of album where you listen to it and you enjoy it while you're listening to it. If you like the White Stripes, if you like the Raconteurs, by the time this came out, nothing on here is overly surprising. He does do different stuff, but the overall sound, the style, the era he likes to explore musically, it's not any different. You know, this is not like the White Stripes where there's a lot of blues rock. Like there's blues in here, but it's not the same kind of blues. You know, it's not that Southern blues, not that Delta blues, not that kind of stuff. This is more, I want to say, more folksy country-esque inspired as opposed to the actual bluesy kind of inspiration, if you get where I'm going there. A lot of the vibes you would find in here would be a lot of stuff. I want to say Nashville. You know, there's definitely a very big Nashville kind of vibe going on this album, but it's not a country album. Don't want you to get that idea. It's just very much an album that reflects music from definitely a bygone era, Grand Old Opry. You know, that's kind of a lot of the vibe of this album. So let's get into it. Album opens up with Missing Pieces. The song feels like it takes forever. Seriously, I don't know why this song was used to open the album. It's not a bad song. It's just, it's a song that clocks in just under 3.5 minutes, and it really feels really long compared to that. I like to skip right away to the second song, 16 Saltines. I really like this song. I really like how the song gets going. This song is a little harder, a little more White Stripesy, kind of. But I think this would have been a better song to open the album with. It's got a little more passion to it, a little more vibe, a little more energy. One thing I will say with this album is instrumentally, musically, it is a brilliant album. One thing I find that kind of feels like it's missing from the album is kind of the passion, the energy. You know, there's a certain energy that usually comes with Jack White, and on this album, most of the songs tend to be missing that energy. It's more laid back, more softer. It's more meant to be enjoyed on a Sunday afternoon, actually. That would be the best way to put it. From there, we go to Freedom 21. This one, I think, is probably the most White Stripes song on this album. After that, it kind of starts to disappear a little bit for the White Stripes vibes. And then it's just more Jack doing his thing. I like Freedom at 21, but it's not a standout song. Love Interruption. Slower tune, but really nice. It's the first song on the album that I would say truly deserved the potential of being a single. I actually don't know if any singles were released off this album because at this point I wasn't watching music videos anymore because the music video stations had all basically disappeared, became a lost art due to YouTube basically. And Jack White surprisingly does not get a lot of radio play in Detroit. You know, go figure. I think a lot of that, though, is also because the type of music he plays doesn't fit in with a lot of the Detroit radio stations either. But Love Interruption definitely could have and should have been a single. That's followed by the album's title track, Blunderbuss. I don't like Blunderbuss. I actually really, it's one of the songs on this album that I just go straight to the skip. Don't have any use for it for the most part. It's slow and boring. Hypocritical Kiss. That one's kind of fun. Uh, Kind of gets you up, gets you going. But it's not overly crazy. One thing I will say on this album, Jack White does a lot, basically played, from what I remember reading, Jack White played a lot of the instrumentation himself on this album. And the piano work is him in a lot of cases, or at least he wrote the piano work and whatnot, and he does a great job of it. I just, I find a lot of the piano work in that really kind of overshadows on this album to a degree, especially for a guy that's really known for his guitaring, or at least at this time was really known for his guitaring. This album was 2012, so at this point, White Stripes, I believe, were completely done. Tours, I think, had 2 albums out at this point, and I just think that Jack was definitely wanting to distance himself from that and, do something definitely different, something that wasn't being done anymore. And I think the piano work kind of got lost in here. It's really good, but it's not going to grab your casual listener, we'll say. It's, especially someone who's going in this going, "Ooh, Jack White," And that leads into the song Weep Themselves to Sleep, which is very, very heavy with the piano. And it's a good tune. I really like it. I think it's really good. And even I think it's the longest song on the album at 4 minutes and 19 seconds. It doesn't feel like the longest song on the album, which is good. I like the way that it moves through. It's got some passion. It's got some energy to it. But it's a little too cutesy, a little too sweetsy for me. Next song is the only song on this album not written by Jack White, written by Rudolph Toombs. I'm Shaken. I actually like this song. This was another song that should have been a single off this album, and could have been a single, and might have been a single. I don't know. But it has some vibe. It has some passion. It really gets this album going, gets this album pumping. I found it actually lended some real energy to this album, something that at this point in the album is severely missing. Once again, this album very much is kind of like a chilled back Sunday after, maybe Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, maybe brunch kind of time going on there, getting your day up and running, but you're not running yet, But I'm Shaken's got a great beat to it. It's got great energy, and it just moves you, That goes into Trash Tongue Talker. Not sure on that one. Honestly, I'm not sure how I feel after all this time on that one. Hippopotamus Poor Boy follows that up. I like the name. It's cute. It's hip, and then in brackets, hippopotamus, and then Poor Boy. Jack is cute with his wordplay and stuff like that. He definitely has a poetic vibe and feel to him with the way he likes to deliver that stuff. So I can really dig it. I can really get into it that way. Musically, it's like the rest of the album. I guess I should go to sleep. It's yet another song where it's just slow, kind of pulled back. It kind of drags a little bit. And then you get to On and On and On. On and On and On is a good, solid tune. I mean, really good, solid tune. And it plays on the on and on and on kind of vibe, obviously, throughout it. And while it is very similar to the rest of the album, that slower kind of drag, this one is more experimental almost in its vibe, or experimental for what it would have been that time period that's being kind of represented here. I really dig on it. I really like it. It is a great album cut. That's how it goes. It's an album cut. I also think it should have been the last song on the album. I think Jack kind of screwed up with the way he did the track listing, because he finishes the album out with Take Me With You When You Go. I understand why lyrically he would have finished that one. I think On and On and On was a stronger finish. Take Me With You When You Go is a great way to close out the album. By the way, that is a song that comes after On and On and On. It is a good, solid, strong song. It is a good, solid way to finish up the album, but it doesn't have the same kind of vibe, and it kind of leaves the album falling flat at the end to me, you know? And if you have been watching the Jack White Love Affair and you're now on episode 3, you're wondering how is it the Jack White Love Affair when I really don't seem to be enjoying the first albums from any of these projects, or it doesn't seem like it. And the truth is, I really, honestly, when you get to the next review, which I'll get to momentarily, you'll see that it changes. But with this and with every other one, Jack is always finding his way, and you can see that, and you can tell that he's searching for and experimenting with and trying out and paying homage to. And Jack includes so much different stuff in his musical repertoire that it's hard to pigeonhole him. And as such, by pigeonholing him, sometimes the albums fall flat, which is what happens, I think, with this one with me. The next album, when you get into... Actually, you know what? Even with his next album, it took until the third solo album before I really, really got behind Jack with the solo albums. And I still preferred him, you know, with other stuff. But it's a good album. If you are looking for something different, if you are looking for something old school, you know, if you're into more artistic kind of music, you know, this is a great album. If you are watching this and you've heard of Nick Cave, but you haven't heard of Jack White, which means you're on the other side of the world, literally on the other side of the world, it would be comparative, you know. I definitely think that is a good comparative. But I will say that I think Jack should maybe hand over production to some other producers every now and then. Only because you can hear that Jack is responsible for producing a lot of these albums, and he has a lot of say in producing these albums, because the tone and the sound of the albums is very much always similar and the same. Even if he's not playing the same instruments, even if he's not doing the same music with the same bands, you can always hear that overall sound and tone. And I'd like to hear something a little bit different from Jack that way. Overall, good album. Not my cup of tea. Not an album I listen to regularly, but it is definitely an album that I could see other people I know listening to regularly. Even older family members. I as weird as it might say, I probably think one of my grandmothers would really dig this album, just because of her music taste. It has that kind of vibe and feel to it, you know. But anyways, next one, if you are one of my regular viewers, the next album I'll be looking at, and the last album in the Jack White Love Affair, is going to be the Dead Weathers debut album. At least I think it's their debut album. I'll let you know for sure on the next one. Until then, peace, love, take care of each other, hit the subscribe button, feel free to leave a comment, and please continue watching.